Alright, welcome to the Week 10 review. A lot of things to go over this week as we're heading into the final stretch of the season, the last 2 weeks of the regular season. So let's kick it off. A lot to discuss on this play. First, let's look at the positioning of the field judge. So in a crew of 6, field judge, we want to be 9 yards wide and 5 yards deep of the deepest receiver. So ideally we would be right in here somewhere, right top of the devil head. And you want to maintain that position throughout the movements of the returner. So pretend there's a string tied from your waist to the returner's waist, and you have to keep that string as tight as possible. Here we're way too close to the receiver. We're actually kind of behind the receiver. So if there's a muff or a KCI or something like that, we're not really in the best position to see it. Now let's look at the actual foul. We actually have 2 I want to look at. There's the first one, that big hit we see. 3 officials flag it. You can see pink flags fly. And the call was targeting, and they wound up ejecting the player. But the end zone view, and when we slow it down, we're actually seeing this is nothing more than an illegal blindside block. You can see right here, forearm, shoulders to the chest area. So this is nothing more than a blindside block. It looks rough, but that's all it is. Now, obviously, we have end zone view. We're able to slow it down. Full speed from the angles the crew of 6 is at. I can see exactly why they would call targeting. But if we're 100% sure on a blindside block and targeting is kind of iffy or not so sure, let's go with the blindside block. It's the more surefire penalty. The yardage is the same, and it's something we can all 100% agree on. As for the ejection, I don't think this hit is worthy enough of ejection. Does not cross that threshold of severe or over the top, put the player in serious jeopardy of injury. You can see the player hops right back up. Some comments were made that this player was ejected because the game was chippy. They thought it was a powder keg. They had to make the ejection. That's a sorry excuse for ejecting a player. Players need to be ejected based on their actions on the specific play. And this just does not cross that threshold. It's a dangerous precedent to start ejecting players based on the circumstances surrounding the game, based on you want to make a statement. That's letting players dictate how you manage the game, and we don't want to ever get to that point. So there's nothing flagrant about this hit. Another thing, we have 3 flags on that hit, and we have no one seeing this hit right here. This is also an illegal blindside block. Obviously they would have declined that one and taken the one back at the 40. But we still need to have flags on the ground for this, because we have 3 flags on one hit and no flags on a blindside block that's just as bad. So I know scrimmage kicks were spread out, and it's hard, things get missed, but we need to try to make sure we have every player covered in that situation. Here's another screwy scrimmage kick, because everything weird happens on a scrimmage kick. Oops. So the call on the field is going to be no muff and a block in the back on the receiving team right there. Now, this is all correct. This could easily be confused by casebook 935A and B, which essentially says that a player can push a player in the back while trying to cover a loose ball. But the caveat of that rule is it has to be a ball that the player can legally recover, and that's not the case here. Since this is still a kick, K cannot legally recover this ball. So a block in the back still applies here. Now, if this were muffed, then each player could legally recover it, so then the push in the back would, in that case, be legal. But since we ruled that R did not muff this punt, then this push in the back is illegal. They correctly call it here Good job by the crew. Now let's look at the position of the back judge. We're going to get into some crew of 7 mechanics here. Back judge and scrimmage kick need to be 5 yards wide and 5 yards deep at the deepest returner. So in that situation, we want to be about right here. And it's just like a field judge in a crew of 6. We want to pretend there's a string tied around the waist, and we want to keep that string as tight as possible. As he moves, you move. If we are in that positioning, then we can more clearly see whether or not this ball was muffed, because then we would have been about right here. You're looking in on that angle. You have a really good view of whether or not this ball was muffed. As we look at the end zone view, we can see there's a good call on no muff. He did not touch it there, does not touch it there. So it was a good call there, but looking at the position of the back judge, we're purely guessing on this. No way he sees that clearly. But if he were in proper positioning, right there, he's looking in and he sees that perfectly. So remember when I maintain that 5x5 cushion. So this next play is going to be a good example of a legal pop-up kick. It's kind of harder to see there. So we see the tight angle. We can see this ball is driven into the ground right there. First bounce is okay, never reaches above the head height of the kicker. Second bounce does, but we're not concerned with the second bounce. I mean, ruling on a pop-up kick, we're only concerned with the action of that first bounce, whether or not it goes above the head height of the kicker. You can see right there, stays low. Second bounce is high, but again, we're not concerned about that second bounce. So again, this is a good example of a legal pop-up kick. Alright, let's look at some catch, no catches. Here in the deep pass, we're going to have control of the ball. There's possession, control, and then the ball is going to come out. On the end zone view, we can see this really well. So he's got control enough where he tucks it in. And that's what we want. We want control. Do they have control of the ball? Control goes a little bit beyond possession. 2 hands on it, that's possession. When he tucks it in, when he can control the ball movement, that's control. And that's when he establishes himself as a runner. Let's also look at the good reverse mechanics on this play by the deep guys. Keep the play in front of them. Once it's turned over, just keep everything in front of them as they move down the field, and then grab the spot. So good job on the reverse mechanics, good job on the catch and fumble. Here's one where we don't have control. See, he never has control of that ball. He's never able to really tuck it in. He just has 2 hands on it. Some movement, but not control of it. That ball comes out way too quick for him to establish any kind of control and establish himself as a runner. So this is a good call for incomplete pass. On this one, one thing we want to look at here, we're way too quick to come up with a touchdown. Reason being because we don't have control of this pass yet. He has to maintain possession, control the ball all the way to the ground and through the ground, really. So we signal touchdown right when he has 2 hands on the ball and feet in bounds, and that's not a catch. That's not control of the ball. The side judge here, those are the better mechanics. He waits till there's control established throughout the catch and the roll on the ground, and then he comes up. The headline judge is just way too quick on the touchdown there. If that ball comes out, then you either look foolish because you signal touchdown and then you got to change it, or if you stick by it, you're wrong. So way too quick. Let's wait it out, see what happens before we come up with touchdown. So we're going the tight angle here. We need to do a better, still need to do a better job of making sure these players are coming in with their heads up. You see you got two players here. They're going to come in with their heads down. This one, he just lowers that head. We were close to helmet-to-helmet contact there. Not sure if we actually make contact or not. Umpire's looking right in on it. He did not flag it, so I'm hoping there was no helmet-to-helmet. But we would, at something like this, we need to come in and tell these players, hey, keep that head up. And then you see this other player coming in, throwing the shoulder towards the head. These players need to come in, keep their heads up, wrap up possible. But we need to make sure we're coming in after this play and talking to these players, saying, hey, keep your heads up. It puts them at serious risk of injury and a flag. Alright, this is going to be a good example of a legal blindside block. We're going to have two, actually, that I want to show you. Look right here at the 42. The player's going to come in, two hands, just shove them down. That's a blindside block, but that's a legal blindside block. And that's why a lot of times when we're talking about blindside blocks, if we can, we want to make sure we're using the terminology legal blindside block and illegal blindside block. Because a blindside block in and of itself is not illegal. If you have open hands like you do here, that's a blindside block, but it's perfectly legal. Does not scratch off all three indicators. So the crew did a good job there of passing on that. On this one, we call blindside block when he reverses the field here. But this is not a blindside block. Does not meet the criteria. When we look at the tight angle, we can see it better. I would consider this open hands. You know, the initial force of the contact and the real force of the contact is with the hands. He's not really lay his shoulders or his chest in it. That's mostly all hands. And it's not really a forceful hit. So this would not meet the criteria of a blindside block. But it does meet the criteria of blocking the back. So this is just a good old-fashioned block in the back. And that's what we would need to call. Just call it a block in the back. That's the easier sell. That is a correct call. You know, it's a 5-yard difference, but at the end of the day, you were correct in a block in the back and incorrect in a blindside block. So block in the back would be the call here. Alright, these next two plays, we're going to have examples of running back moving early. See right there, we shut the play down and flag it. Watching slow motion, he's just going to take off. You know, let's flag this as a false start, not a legal motion, because this is simulating the snap. It's the case of, you know, either he forgot the snap count or he's just leaving early. If he's either way, that's a false start. Shut that play down and flag it for a false start. On this one, it's kind of the same situation, but we let it go. This one is just, you know, he just forgot the snap count. And we throw the flag and let the play go. Again, let's just shut this down. Alright, he's simulating the snap. We talked a little bit about this last year. If you kind of dig through the weekly training videos last year, you may find where we talked about this. But situation like that, you know, just you know, shut it down, false start. You know, a lot of these running backs are taught if they do that, just keep on going and go in motion. But if they do that, that's fine. But a situation like this, shut it down, false start. Another free kick play. We're going to miss an illegal blindside block right toward the end of the play. Right there at the 39. No one picks up on it. Yeah, that's an illegal blindside block. I know, again, it's free kick. We're spread out, but we need to pick up on that. Probably a deep. Umpire can help out on it too. Primarily, that would be a deeps call. Let's see if we see it on the tight view. Yeah, no open hands, forceful contact, doesn't see it coming. Checks off all the indicators of a blindside block. All right, last one we're going to look at. We're going to get mixed signals on an out of bounds play here. Wing's going to come in, stop the clock. Deep's going to roll it. We look at the tight. I don't think we have forward progress stopped here. And I think he's stepping out of bounds for that knees down. So you see he's out of bounds right there. Progress is still moving forward. His knee is not hit the ground yet. So this would be a stop clock. No need to run it there. So make sure, wings and Ds, make sure we're together in unison on clock situations, catch situations, anything like that, especially on clock situations. Want to make sure we're in unison there. Again, you know, this should just be a stop clock. Forward progress is still going. He steps out of bounds right there for the knees down. So he's out of bounds. So let's just make sure we're working together on, you know, anything, especially if you're going to start working next couple of weeks on a district crew or an association crew with officials you haven't really worked with. Make sure you have a good pregame with your partner, either on the same side of you, across from you, or whatever. Make sure you have a good pregame. Make sure you're on the same page. Alright, that's it for this week. Shorter video. As you can tell, I'm kind of under the weather. But good luck this week. For those of you that are working district crews starting this week, like I said, make sure you have a good pregame. Try to get to know each other if you can. You know, if you can, have like a pregame meal together at a restaurant nearby. Kind of get to know each other, talk on the phone something during the week. But, you know, really try to get to know each other before you step out in the field. And association crew the same way if it's guys you haven't worked with. But region play is really ramping up right now. There's some big games the next couple of weeks. So good luck, stay safe, and stay warm and dry this Friday night. Gonna be a cold, wet one. So that's it.